Okay guys, in this lesson we will be solving log equations. And before we can solve log equation, let's go over one property that you learned in chapter 5, okay? And that property is the log form versus exponential form. So in chapter 5, we learned that when you're given this log form right here, log base A of b equal to x, then we can convert it to exponential form, which is a to the x power equals b. Remember this? Okay, so we're gonna need this in order to solve log form. Okay, let's moving on to number 1. Okay, in number 1, we have log base 4 of negative 9n plus 7 equal to 7. So step 1, we want to isolate log for this log term right here by itself. So in order to do that, we are going to subtract 7 to both sides. Then we have log base 4 of negative 9n equals to 7. I'm sorry, equal to 0. And then we're going to convert this to exponential form, okay? So in exponential form, it's going to be 4 to the 0 equal to negative 9n, okay? So every time you get log by itself, the next step is exponential form. Then we're going to solve the equation, which is the letter n, okay? So 4 to the 0 is 1, and then negative 9n. Divide both sides by negative 9, and then n is equal to 1 over negative 9. And this is our answers. Okay, moving on to number 2. Okay, in number 2, notice we do not have a base under here. And we talked about it in chapter 5 as well. If we don't have a base right there, we assume there's always invisible 10, okay? So you can rewrite the problem like this to remind yourself if you want to, but you do not have to. But I'm going to rewrite it. Then we need to isolate this log by itself. That's the idea. Isolate log by itself, okay? So we're going to add 3 to both sides. Then we have log base 10 of 5n equal to 3. Then since the log is by itself, the next step is always exponential form. So exponential form is going to be 10 to the third power equals to 5n, okay? So 10 to the third power equal to 5n. So 10 to the third power is 1,000, is 10 times 10 times 10, and then equal to 5n. Then to get n by itself, we divide both sides by 5, so n is equal to 200. Now, when it comes to log equation, you do have to make sure your answers will make sense or not make sense, which we will discuss later tomorrow, okay? 3. Okay, so in number 3, notice the parenthesis is included in the 2x minus 3. So what that means is that this whole thing right here, this whole term, it is by itself. You cannot move the 3 to the other side because it's stuck with the whole log term. So here, since log is already by itself, the next step would be converting it to exponential form, okay? So it'd be 5 to the first negative 1 power equals to 2x minus 3. Then 5 to the negative 1 power is 1 over 5 equals to 2x minus 3. I'm going to make this into a fractions, and then we are going to do cross multiply like this. So that means we have 5 times 2x minus 3 equal to 1. It should be 10x minus 15 equal to 1. Add 15 to both sides. That's equal to 16. And then divide both sides by 10. We have x equal to 16 over 10. And this answer right here is still reducible by a 2. Then my final answer is 8 over 5. Okay, that's number 3. Let's move on to number 4. Okay, so in number 4, Slightly different than number 3, I add in the plus 2, but the idea stays the same. But this time, the log is not by itself. We have to move this 2 to the other side right here. So we're going to subtract 2. So log base 3 of n minus 8 equal to 1. So now log is by itself. The next step would be converted to exponential form, which is 3 to the first, n minus 8. And then add 8 to both sides, be 11 equal to n. And that right there is our final answers.